Welcome to another Town Hall Thursdays. I am Darryl W. Perry, Libertarian for Governor of New Hampshire. I was supposed to have been joined by Spike Cohen. However, he is on the road, similar to how Dr. Joe Jorgensen was on the road in the Jorgensen-Cohen 2020 campaign bus. Spike is actually in Flint, Michigan right now. And hopefully he doesn't drink any tainted water and is able to safely go to Highland, Indiana tomorrow, just outside of Gary. And then he has been rescheduled and will be joining in, I believe it is 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks on September 10th is when Spike will be joining. And tonight I'm going to keep it short. Only doing a 30-minute show. Normally, I like to do 30 to 60 minutes on the town halls. And one of the reasons that I'm keeping it short is, well, one, I'm by myself. And two, at 7 o'clock, I have the NAACP of Nashua gubernatorial forum. And I want to make sure that I have a little bit of time between the end of this and the start of that. So 30 minutes tonight. And I actually want to, and let me actually pull up the window that I have. I want to sort of walk you through the process of requesting an absentee ballot, since hopefully you will be responsible and safe and vote absentee instead of potentially infecting or getting infected yourself. But you know, most of the poll workers are not young. They tend to be a little on the older side, which means that they're a little more susceptible to getting the COVID-19. And since COVID is, I was trying to think of, do I want to say COVID? Do I want to say Corona? Do I want to say SARS-CoV-2? But you know, no matter what you call it, concern over that particular virus and then possibly getting very sick, going on a respirator, concern over that is a valid reason to request an absentee ballot this year. So let me start screen share, and I have to select the window that I want to share, and then yes, optimize for video. Excellent. So I have gone over to darrylwperry.com. Let's close the pop-up, and then you will see down at the bottom here, request absentee ballot. Click on that, and then you have several options here. I keep pointing at the screen as if you can see my hand. You're actually seeing the screen. So there's absentee ballot instructions, there's absentee ballot request form, absentee voter registration form, which normally you can't register to vote remotely. You normally must present yourself to the city or town clerk or register on election day at your polling place. But you can request voter registration forms be sent to you. So I'm actually just going to pop this open. I'm not going to fill this out, but you can see the absentee voter registration form. Again, I know it says physically disabled. The Secretary of State earlier this year has said that concerns over COVID is being construed to fit the definition of disability, even though it's not a disability in and of itself. The ballot, absentee ballot request form has been temporarily amended, and you can see there's already the box checked here saying I'm unable to vote in person due to concerns for the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. So this form was amended by statute. This form, however, was not. But if you're currently not registered to vote, you can click the absentee voter registration request form and then your city or town clerk will mail these forms to you. Unfortunately, I can't request a bunch of copies of this and then pass them out. You can't either. So anyone that's registering to vote absentee must request this form themselves from the city or town clerk. But let's go back to the absentee ballot request form. If you are not currently registered, then you would click the I am absent, and I don't know why it popped that up. Apparently I can't actually click on things in this window, but you would click the I'm absent where I'm domiciled and will be until the next election, or am unable to register in person. So you can click this box if you're currently not registered. If you are registered, you would click this top box and then scroll down. I have already on this form on the website, darrylwperry.com/vote, which again, you can get to from the homepage by clicking request absentee ballot. I have already pre-selected for you. I am unable to vote in person due to concern for the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. So that is your reason for requesting the absentee ballot. There's a lot of states that have gone to no excuse absentee, where just anybody that wants an absentee ballot can get one. Some states for this election only are going to mail-in ballots. And the difference between an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot, it's semantics. Where an absentee ballot you have to request, but a mail-in ballot is automatically sent to you. And again, some states have no excuse absentee where you don't have any of these options, but in New Hampshire, you do have to select a reason, and we are selecting I'm unable to vote in person due to concern for novel coronavirus COVID-19. And then you tell them which election you're requesting an absentee ballot for. If for some reason you decide that you want to vote in a state primary, taxpayer funded, for the Republican or Democratic Party, then you could click this box and then check which one of these you wish, or you can just request for the general election, and then you go to page 2. Page 2 being your information. So this is fairly self-explanatory: last name, first name, middle name, or middle initial, depending on what's on your voter registration. Your domicile, which is the place that you live. Some people would call it a residence, but legally, there's a little bit of difference between a domicile and a residence, even if a certain group in Concord want you to believe otherwise, and have actually amended one statute to basically try to interpret that everyone who is domiciled is a resident. But we can discuss that at greater length later. So basically, where do you live? Where do you sleep at night? Which may or may not be the same as your mailing address. So for me, I have a private mailbox. So I would put the place where I sleep. My apartment would go here in voting domicile, home address. Mailing address would go on this next line. And then the telephone number, email address are optional. I know it doesn't say optional on here, but they are optional because there's no obligation that you have a telephone. There's no obligation that you have an email address. So just because they're on here does not mean that they are required. And then you sign, you date, and then if someone is helping you, then they would sign here. where it says, I attest that I assisted the applicant. You don't have to worry about that. Let's scroll back up and look at the text here that has some stuff underlined and other stuff crossed out, and I have just highlighted, where it says the applicant must sign this form to receive an absentee ballot. That part of the statute has not changed at all. You still have to sign the form. However, the text that is stricken out, where it says the moderators will compare the signatures, that wording is still on the books. It's still in statute. However, the courts have said that that section cannot be enforced. So even though, and that's what the text at the bottom here says. So even though the wording is on here, it's stricken out. So if for some reason your signatures are not a perfect match, that's okay. You're still going to be able to vote. They will still process your ballot when it comes in. And then it says here to mail, fax, or hand deliver the completed form to your local city or town clerk. They have a link here. I also have the link on darrellwperry.com/vote, where you can find the contact info for your city or town clerk. And I have this in a PDF. So then let's just do a Control F and type in Manchester, which Manchester has a bunch of wards, but the city clerk is still the same. The address for the city is still the same. The email address for the city clerk is the same. If you want to scroll up here, look at some other cities or towns, all of that there again, darrellwperry.com/vote. Now, if you're registering to vote, normally, if you're registering in person, there are, and I'm going to stop screen share here. If you're registering in person, there are several different affidavits that you can fill out. There's the citizenship affidavit, there's the affidavit of domicile, the affidavit of identity, and I believe the affidavit of age, which are the four things that you have to prove to be able to register to vote. So you have to be a US citizen, you have to be over the age of 18, you have to live in New Hampshire, and you have to be who you say you are. So that's the affidavit of identity. I am who I say I am. Affidavit of age. I am over 18. The affidavit of citizenship is I am a U.S. citizen. And the affidavit of domicile is I live where I say I live. So those are the four. But if you're registering absentee, you can't fill out the affidavits. I don't know why. It's just a quirk of how those things work. But you would then need to provide documentation. And I would suggest, if you're going in person, that you bring documentation with you. But if for some reason, let's just say that you don't have a document, you're living with friends or you're living with your parents and you don't have a lease. Well, you don't have a lease, so you can't show that as proof that you live where you say you live. Maybe you don't get things addressed to you in the mail. So you can't take a piece of mail in to show, hey, this is my name, and it came to the address that I told you is where I live. That means that I live there, right? Because I get mail there. And let's say that you don't have any utilities. Then you can, again, if you're registering in person, you can fill out that affidavit of domicile. Now, I understand that there's one political party that has tried to get rid of that one particular affidavit. The statute that was passed a couple of years ago has been temporarily, at least, stricken by the courts. It's still currently working through the court system, but that law that was passed, SB 3, said that if you don't have one of the documents to prove domicile, that within, and it varies depending on if you're in a town or a city, somewhere between 10 to 30 days to take documentation down to the city or town clerk. Otherwise, they can go to your house or send the police to your house to request verification and find out if you actually do live there. But again, that law has been enjoined from being enforced, so the affidavit for domicile still exists. One thing that I find rather interesting is the people trying to get rid of the affidavit of domicile have not tried to get rid of the affidavit of age, citizenship, or identity. So again, I just find that very strange, and I realize I'm sort of getting off on a tangent here. But again, if for some reason you don't have any of those documents, let's say that you lost your wallet, so you don't have your driver's license and you no longer have a copy of your passport. Or let's just say that you never had a driver's license, but you lost your passport, because passport proves citizenship, age, and identity. So you can, in theory, use the same document to prove multiple things. A driver's license would show, unless you've moved without updating, would show your age, your identity, and your domicile. So again, one document can show multiple things. And those are things that you would want to take with you if you're registering in person, or if you're registering absentee, you would need to get a photocopy. And I believe they're doing some kind of video verification to where people that might not have copy machines or might not be able to use a smartphone to take a picture of the documents. There's some sort of video verification. I don't know the process. I don't know how that works. But just keep that in mind if you are registering to vote absentee. And well, one additional thing on that, the ACLU of New Hampshire has done several series on voting rights and how to register to vote, and certain groups that might be more prone to not have some of the documentations, specifically trans individuals who might not have documents under the new identity, where they might only have documents in what's referred to as the dead name. So that's where the affidavit of identity and the affidavit of, well, really affidavit of identity. I was trying to think that something else was tied in there. But that's where those affidavits can really be beneficial, is for people that don't have the documents that the bureaucrats want. Let me take a look real quick in the Facebook and see if there are any questions. Where normally I don't monitor the Facebook to see if there are questions, but I will this time, because again, I want to go about 10 more minutes, and my wife, who normally monitors that for me, is not able to do that right now because she has work that she has to do, and I'm not seeing any questions in or rather on Facebook in the comment section for the live stream. But let me just, maybe I have to pop it up instead of just looking. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. But if you ever do want to join in and ask questions, normally I monitor only the Zoom, which you can find at darrellwperry.com/Zoom. Or you can also go to the Facebook and watch the video there. Facebook is facebook.com/TheRealDarrell.W.Perry. I should probably set up a forward for darrellwperry.com/Facebook. And later, I do upload these to YouTube, which you can find at darrellwperry.com/YouTube. So I do have, some short forwards that go places that I want them to. I just don't have darrellwperry.com/Facebook yet. I will do that shortly, not like within the next 5 minutes, but it will be done before the next live stream next week. And again, if you have any questions about the absentee voter or the absentee voter registration or the absentee ballot request forms, or what do I do when the ballot comes to me, then again, head over to darrellwperry.com/vote. And the top thing is absentee ballot instructions that walks you through pretty much how things work. And you do have to turn in the ballot before Election Day. So it's not something that you can turn in on Election Day. It does have to be turned in before Election Day. And with some of the mail possibly being delayed, I would suggest it, and this is not legal advice because, well, I've actually seen that apparently the governor and the Secretary of State have issued conflicting suggestions on this. So I'm not going to suggest that you use the drop boxes that may or may not be legal to use. But what I would suggest is, if at all possible, hand deliver the absentee ballot to your city or town clerk before the election, or make sure that you have the absentee ballot in the mail at least 2 weeks before the election. At least 2 weeks. Again, because there's been reports that some of the mail sorting machines have been removed from Manchester. I don't know how many cities throughout the state wind up sending their mail to Manchester to be sorted before then going back out to wherever it is that it needs to go. But going down to your city or town clerk's office, very easy. Again, I understand not necessarily easy for everybody depending on circumstances and situations, but that's probably the easiest thing to do to make sure that it gets turned in on time. And one additional thing to mention, you cannot wind up giving your ballot to just anyone and asking them to deliver it for you. New Hampshire does have strict rules on who's allowed to deliver absentee ballots to the city or town clerks. You can deliver for a relative. A relative can deliver for you. And again, there's a specific list. I don't have directly in front of me. But there is a specific list of who is allowed to turn in ballots for other people. I was actually on a call a couple nights ago. It was a national call where they were talking about people that do what's called ballot harvesting. And they weren't talking about it in a negative sense. They were just saying of, hey, if you live in a state where this is possible, you should ask your supporters that live in your neighborhood to just give their ballots to you and you turn them in. That way you know that votes for you are being turned in. Now, of course, if you're opening up the absentee ballot envelopes and then looking to see, oh, did they actually vote for me? That's then tampering with an absentee ballot, which don't do that. So if you are giving your ballot to someone, make sure they don't tamper with it. If you are taking a ballot in for a relative, don't open their ballot to see who they voted for, because an opened envelope, that raises suspicion and will probably be tossed out. But again, I brought that up just to mention that apparently some people are used to just being able to help all of their neighbors turn in absentee ballots. That's not possible and not legal in New Hampshire to do. But again, DarrylWperry.com is the website. DarrylWperry.com/vote is where you can find out information about how to get the absentee ballot. There's the absentee ballot request form, the contact info for all of the city and town clerks, the form for registering to vote absentee. It says absentee voter registration, which I guess technically it would be, because it's you're requesting the voter registration forms absentee. But all of that is there, DarrylWperry.com/vote. And if you want to help us, I say us in like the royal we, British monarch sense or something. If you would like to help the campaign, you can go to DarrylWperry.com/donate. I've got a billboard that's going up in about 2 weeks. Just looking at the calendar, going up in about 2 weeks in Manchester, looking at some other billboards, also looking at getting some radio ads. I've got a quote of right around $1,000 to get radio ads for 1 month on a pair of talk radio stations, one covering between Manchester and Concord, the other covering the seacoast. So if you want to help with that, anything that you can give is much appreciated. DarrylWperry.com/donate. I'm only about $400 away from being able to afford 1 month of ads. So if you want to make sure that I get 1 month of ads leading up to the election, and you want to put me across the finish line there, $400 does that. Again, if you can only pitch in $5 or $10, that's fine as well. And again, I said it a couple of weeks ago, anybody that donates $50 or more does get a Darryl W. Perry for Governor t-shirt. Just make sure that, well, I'll send you an email and ask for the size. Preferably the people in New Hampshire get those shirts. I would rather not send those out, people in Alabama, Texas, wherever. But if you are out of state and you want a t-shirt, let me know. But again, everybody in state that donates 50 or more gets a t-shirt. I've also got bumper stickers that you can request, and I would appreciate a couple of dollars at least to cover the postage. So any donation over $5, if you want a bumper sticker, just shoot me a message. Tell me, hey, Darryl, I donated. I would like a bumper sticker. So I'll get those out. I also have yard signs on the way. Yard signs should arrive in about a week. So hopefully I'll be getting those sent out and distributed across the Granite State. And again, thank you for watching. If you have donated, thank you very much. If you have not yet donated, anything you can do is much appreciated. DarrylWperry.com, or you can text the word Perry, which is my last name, Perry, to 77948. That's my last name, Perry. Just text that to 77948 or DarrylWperry.com. Again, do the town hall Thursdays every Thursday starting at 6 o'clock. Like to go 30 minutes to 60, and we're right at that 30-minute mark tonight. So I will end the live stream in just a few seconds, but not before I tell you good night, and I'll see you next week.